What I'm about to do, some of you guys may consider to be unethical or morally wrong, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to give you guys my way too early list of candidates to replace Billy Napier at Florida. And yes, I do believe that Florida isn't going to win 6 games this year. I think that Billy Napier is going to get fired because he's just not a good head coach. He's a good G5 coach, but he's just not good enough to build Florida up to the level they used to be during the glory days in the SEC. So I think that Billy Napier gets fired at the end of this season, and Florida's going to be once again searching for a new head coach. And I want to give you guys a couple of potential candidates who I believe will be a perfect fit to replace Billy Napier. We're going to start off with Lashley, who currently is the head coach of SMU. His 2 seasons there, he has an 18-9 record. He went 7-6 his first season in 2022. This past year, SMU went 11-2. They won the American Athletic Conference, and they're transitioning to year 1 playing in the ACC, and they have a really good chance to win 8-9 games in that conference. The thing that makes Lashley such a great candidate for Florida as their potential replacement for Billy Napier is that, for one, he has excellent pipelines in Florida. Some of y'all don't remember, but he was the offensive coordinator at Miami under Manny Diaz, and he was pretty much the only good thing to take away from Manny Diaz's tenure at the University of Miami. He also was the best OC Miami has had in probably the last 15, 16 years. And he also has developed really good recruiting pipelines down in South Florida. There are a good amount of South Florida players that he has on his roster that he has gotten from the transfer portal and recruiting, so he knows how to recruit in Florida. He also is really good at recruiting in the state of Texas. For Florida, with recruiting being such a big factor in determining how successful a head coach ends up being in Gainesville, you love the pipelines that Lashley already has down in Texas and at Florida. He also is really good at utilizing NIL. He has a pretty good NIL backing at SMU. He also has donors who are continuing to put in more money into the pie. With how good of a reputation he has built within the SMU administration for their donor base to be so confident in him that they're pouring into more money that SMU has ever had in this program has been really impressive. And people seem to forget, if you go back and you watch that 30 for 30 with the Pony Express, this was a team that was notoriously known for paying guys. Now it's legal to do so, and Lashley is getting that confidence from those boosters to receive, the amount of NIL money that they've been utilizing to have success in the transfer portal and in recruiting. He also is a really good X's and O's coach. Really similar to Dan Mullen when it comes to his offensive knowledge and prestige on that side of football. So Florida, if you end up moving on from Billy Napier, the first guy I expect them to take a look at is Lashley, because Florida's one of those programs where they like to sign low-profile coaches that come from smaller schools, and Lashley definitely fits that mold. And I was a little surprised that he didn't get a look from Texas A&M, because he's in the state of Texas. You would have thought that A&M would have at least given him a phone call or an interview. Chris Klieman is the next head coach that I think will be a great replacement for Billy Napier if the Florida Gators end up firing him. Chris Klieman, he is one of the best coaches in college football, in my opinion, when it comes to doing more with less. He also has won 75% of his games, which is third among active FBS coaches behind Dabo Swinney and Kurt Signetti. He also was the head coach at North Dakota State during the peak of their dynasty when they were winning the FCS National Championship every single year. He was responsible for leading them to 4 FCS National Championships in the couple of seasons that he was there from 2014 to 2018. He also compiled a record of 69-6, and he led Kansas State to the Big 12 championship in 2022. Remember when they upset TCU that year? He also has won 8 or more games in 5 out of his last and 4 out of his last 5 seasons. He also has the second most wins in Kansas State program history with 39, and he's 39 and 24. I think he's a pretty decent recruiter. He utilizes the transfer portal pretty well, but with Chris Klieman, you're getting a head coach that knows how to develop talent, something that Billy Napier struggles to do. If you get Chris Klieman, you're getting somebody that he may not be a huge name to a lot of Southern folks, but you're getting somebody that has a better resume than what Billy Napier had when Florida first hired him coming out of Louisiana. This dude was winning at North Dakota State, leading them to national championships nearly every single year he was there, and he's been really consistent winning and sustaining success at Kansas State. So Chris Klieman is the second head coach that I have on my list of replacements that Florida needs to give a look to if they do fire Billy Napier. Now, Mike Gundy is a name that some Florida fans probably are just going to scratch off the list because they don't think they have a good chance of getting this dude, but money talks. And Mike Gundy, when you think of Oklahoma State, you think of him. Okay, he is one of the few head coaches in college football where his name, his image is synonymous with that program. Similar to Alabama football. When you think the Crimson Tide, you think Nick Saban. When you think Oklahoma State Cowboys football, you think Mike Gundy. And for Florida, if you could land Mike Gundy, this would be a home run hire. And there were some rumors around 2021 that he had some interest in taking this job, but he ended up denying them, saying they were nothing but just speculation. People were just making up things, but I really believe there was a little bit of truth to those rumors. It's hard to win at Oklahoma State, and there's not a single head coach in college football who has done more with less than what Mike Gundy has been able to do. He doesn't always bring in highly touted recruiting classes. Oftentimes, Oklahoma State is outside of the top 25, and they're a program that has limited resources. They got limited spending money when it comes to how they can use it to paying for guys and recruiting and in the transfer portal. But if he can have this amount of success at Oklahoma State, having 10-win seasons since 2010, being a 3-time Big 12 Coach of the Year, being 2-3 in New Year's Six bowl games, having a 12-6 bowl record overall. Imagine what he can do at a school like Florida with more superior resources than Oklahoma State and a recruiting hotbed. Mike Gundy could win a national championship at Florida if he was willing to give the job the opportunity. Oklahoma State is his alma mater. He loves being the head coach of the Cowboys, and he has to never worry about his job security despite how bad of a season Oklahoma State could have any year. But for some reason, he just is satisfied with his situation at Oklahoma State. But if Florida is willing to pay the money that it would take to lure him away from Oklahoma State, this will be an incredible hire, and it's one that I believe will pay off dividends. And there's not a better head coach that Florida could get than Mike Gundy. At this point, you got to stop trying to fool around with these inexperienced guys, and you need to go ahead and find you somebody who has a proven track record of winning and doing it at a program with limited resources. Next up, I got Garrett Riley, and for those of you guys who are a little bit unfamiliar with that last name, yes, he is the brother of Lincoln Riley, and you guys may not remember the year that TCU got annihilated by Georgia in the national championship because it seems like it was such a long time ago, although it was 2 years ago. The reason why TCU had the kind of season they did that year when they went to the national championship is because of how good that offense was, with Garrett Riley being the offensive coordinator. And he did such a good job calling plays for that side of the football that you saw Quentin Johnston become a first-round pick. You saw Max Duggan become a Heisman finalist. And Garrett Riley won the Jim Boyles Award for that season, which goes out to college football's best assistant coach for that year. He's now at Clemson. Clemson's offense did improve a little bit last year, but this year they should take a major step in improvement on that side of the football. And when they do, Garrett Riley is definitely going to be a hot head coaching candidate. And I'm surprised that he didn't get hired last year Because when Clemson first hired Garrett Riley, it was one of those moves that a lot of people thought was just a one-year rental, because most people didn't think that Garrett Riley was going to remain the offensive coordinator for too long before getting the opportunity to get a head coaching job. But if he ends up doing a good job at Clemson this year, and let's say they end up winning 9-10 games this year, he definitely is going to be mentioned in a lot of head coaching searches. He's a really good recruiter, really good when it comes to developing his personnel on offense as well. This would be a pretty good hire for Florida if they want to go in direction of hiring a young, promising coordinator that they're not going to have to spend a lot of money to get, since they are going to have to pay a little bit of buyout money to Billy Napier. So if they want to go in a cheap direction, but they want to get the best bang for their buck, then Garrett Riley probably would be the best coordinator hire, or the best assistant coach who they could hire to become their head man. And lastly, some of you guys are going to be really upset with this one, but Chip Kelly, he's now the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. He's going to kill it up there in Columbus. The problem with Chip Kelly is not that he's a bad coach. He's a really good coach. He resurrected UCLA football. He had a 35-34 record. It took him a few years to get things going up there, but their last couple of seasons, they had 8 or 9 wins. And he also is better suited to have success assembling talent at a school like Florida with the new era of college football, where all you got to do is just offer a lot of guys money and recruiting and in the transfer portal, and you pretty much can get anybody you want to. And he did a really good job of building up UCLA through the transfer portal. But Chip Kelly has shown that if there is a recruit that he wants, he has no problem putting all his chips in the basket to go get that guy. Dante Moore was highly touted when he was coming out of high school, and even though it didn't work out, the fact that Chip Kelly was able to land a recruit with the prestige of a Dante Moore at a school like UCLA, who currently has a lot of money that they're in debt, which kind of held him back a little bit, that shows me that he has the ability to go out there and get 5 highly touted 5 4-star guys, as long as he's motivated to do so and has the NIL backing to do it. So Chip Kelly, if he gets hired by Florida, you have somebody who has been a proven winner everywhere he's been. He didn't have the amount of success at UCLA as he had at Oregon, but with the resources that Florida has, the NIL backing that they have, we already know with the Jaden Rashada incident that they have no problem dishing out the big bucks to get the best guys out of high school and in the portal. So I don't really care about the whole narrative around Chip Kelly that he can't recruit. No, the thing with Chip Kelly is that it's hard to recruit with, the state that college football was at. But now with it being legal to pay these guys, as long as Florida gets their NIL situation right, Chip Kelly can win, because we know that he's really good when it comes to the X's and O's. He's a really good strategist. He knows how to tailor his offense to the talent that he has to work with on his team for said season. So this would be a perfect fit for Florida, because you need a head coach that has a little skin in the game, that's been proven to win at the highest level, which he has shown at Oregon, leading them to a national championship in the college football playoffs in years past. And in the SEC, with this conference being so oversaturated with big name coaches, you need a Chip Kelly in this conference if you don't want to take the route of trying to get one of those smaller coaches that come from a small school. If you want to go ahead and get a proven big name coach, I don't think you can get any bigger than Chip Kelly. So these are my list of replacements for Billy Napier if Florida ends up firing him. Let me know what you guys think about this list down in the comment section down below.